All right, INFPs, we got to have a chat here. I've been working on a theory I think is going to be really helpful for you. I've shared it with one INFP. She says it's on track. So I'm going to share it with you, and then in the comments, you can either let me know that it's a great idea or absolutely destroy me. So starting with the premise that INFPs tend to hold back on things, tend to hold back on, let's say, sharing their work with the world for two reasons. One is a perfectionism, which would come from more like a traditional fear of judgment, fear of criticism. So there's a perfectionism of, I don't want to be critiqued. But there's a second thing there, which is more almost like a romanticism and idealism, that you have an extremely high standard, that maybe why you are worried about being judged is your standard for the type of work you want to deliver is way up there, right? So if you're going to write a novel, you don't want to write some paper mill book that you pump out in 2 weeks. You want to write a great work. And if you look at famous INFPs, a lot of them are writers, and a lot have produced epic fiction, quite literally. Works that have been with us for a long time and will be with us for probably hundreds more years. So maybe this perfectionism, romanticism, idealism, maybe it's not an issue, a weakness, a struggle, but maybe it's actually one of your superpowers. And you just need to design your life around that more. So I'll use the writer example. I was talking to Tara about this, who is a writer. There are many different types of writing jobs, right? I've been a writer before. I guess I'm still a writer now. I'm writing a book this month, but I've been a writer in terms of working for other people. And you can be hired for everything from writing a one-sentence motto for a lot of money to writing a 100, 1,000, 2,000 word article for $5, $10, $20. Now, I never did those sorts of articles because I had the business part figured out. But there are writing jobs, basically, that are very quantity over quality. And there are writing jobs that are quality over quantity. And if you are an INFP, this is as my theory goes, is you need to embrace your perfectionism. You need to embrace your high standards, but align it with either a job or with clients who expect the same and reward you for that work, right? If you have this idealism where you only want to deliver great work, but you're working for a client who doesn't really care, they just want a lot of things done, like give me 10 articles a week, churn it out. Well, yeah, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to feel terrible. It's going to be a really depressing relationship. But if you work with someone who says, hey, I love your creativity and I want this to be the best of the best, take as much time as you need and work on this, that's going to be a great client who will actually embrace that part of your personality. So what would happen if you were actually able to embrace this part of your personality and go really deep and spend weeks or months or even years on one project? What do you think you'd be capable of producing? What would your life look like if you could really indulge your imagination and your passions and go all in on things and actually put your best work out there? Well, maybe that perfectionism would go away because you'd actually be delivering something that in your eye was nearly perfect. Maybe you'll never be completely happy, but maybe part of what that feeling is telling you that you are meant to do something great and that you should work towards greater projects. Now, what do you need to do to take this leap? Well, one thing is to perhaps make a change in your job or business. If you have your own business or you do freelancing, you probably want to work with people who are much more aligned with your way of working and value what you do. The other thing is you need to learn how to go deep. But you need to develop the ability to do deep work. I had an INFP on my team for a while, and I realized this with him, that being an INFP that being able to do deeper, more creative work should be aligned with his personality. And it should allow him to contribute value to the company and to have more satisfaction with his job. But we had some struggles around focus and around actually getting into deep work, because so many people have trained themselves for shallow work, this always on sort of working, with notifications going, with checking email or messages all the time, doing very shallow level work, not sinking your teeth into something and spending 3, 4, 5 hours in a row uninterrupted. And that's really what is required if you want to go deep. So in the next video, I'm going to explain why it is so important to start going deeper with your working style and share my advice for how to do it, because I'm an ENFP, I've definitely got ADHD, and yet I've figured this out and spend a huge amount of my time in deep work, and it is so much more satisfying, and the results speak for themselves. So let's take a look at a few well-known INFPs. We'll start with George Orwell, because I was just rereading 1984, famous author for books such as 1984 and Animal Farm. Then we've got J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote, of course, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Epic sagas which that, let's be honest, if they weren't turned into movies, most of us would never have finished. Then we have people like J.K. Rowling, who, of course, wrote another epic saga, which is very new for us now, but I'm sure will be read for decades or centuries to come. And even people like William Shakespeare. What do all these famous INFPs have in common? We remember them for a select amount of work. They went deep. They concentrated their creative energy and imagination on a small set of projects. They used their perfectionism to ensure that what they did was so great it would live on forever and have someone like me sitting here on YouTube talking about them. Even George R.R. Martin, is there any Homer? Is there any epic novel that isn't written by an INFP? Edgar Allan Poe, Franz Kafka. Really, I mean, if you're an INFP and you're not writing epic novels, what are you doing? This is your way to go. Definitely, as an INFP, going deep, embracing your perfectionism, it's the way to go, especially if you want to end up on a famous INFPs page one day. And if you are an ENFP, I do actually have a free training program I've created for my fellow ENFPs. If you go to dreamsaroundtheworld.com/ENFP training, or click the card that will pop up here, you can get access to that free training. It has some of my best advice, things that I don't share anywhere else.